Can you give us an idea of some of the charges that are going to be filed against the people who have been arrested and the charges for these children who are at large?
The bulk of those will be conspiracy or conspiracy to distribute narcotics. And those are the primary charges. And there's some other charges. And some will result, obviously, in the conduct of search warrants. If there are weapons that are owned or other items or other drugs found or money, we will also add those charges against those individuals.
These are all federal charges, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, the predominant. We also arrested some on some state and local warrants, but the bulk of these were federal arrest warrants.
It was 26 arrests and 14 warrants were served?
Correct.
Was all this activity going on in regular neighborhoods?
I think the chief might be able to answer that because it affects him more directly.
Thank you. The overwhelming majority of the warrants were in fact executed in the city of Racine, and certainly it's throughout the city, and so there were no neighborhoods in particular that had more than the other. It's pretty much just spread throughout the city.
So do we know anything information about the direction of where these two other people are at large?
Not at this time. That's why we're asking for your help. We have them in the locale of the Racine or Waukegan, Illinois area, but we don't have any reason to think that they've necessarily gone any distance from there. But obviously with any fugitive cases, you don't know. So again, we are asking the public to reach out to us. We do have now photos provided with that number of those individuals to include the spellings of their names. So if the public does observe these individuals, again, cautioned, they are potentially armed and dangerous, and contact either the FBI, the number listed, or local law enforcement.
Could you provide us with a little more background information about this gang? Where is it based out of? How long has it been in southeastern Wisconsin?
The gang itself has been around since the early 90s in various shapes and forms. This also has connections to Chicago as well. I don't know, Chief, if you want to speak to more of the historical aspect or if you have any more detail on the MLBs in Racine.
I'll ask, Chief Schultz is in charge of the entire investigative division, so he won't be able to give you specific details, but he can just give you an overview relative to that particular gang.
The MLDs that we were addressing in Racine today, they've been in Racine at least for the last 10, 15 years operating. It is a gang that has migrated up to us from Chicago over the years, but we've been dealing with them they're not a new occurrence in Racine. We've been focusing on them, gathering intel. The investigation itself was a year long, but the intel gathering's been going on for quite a few years.
Just to amplify what was stated, to my right we have District Attorney Rich Tappetta here, and he and I were reflecting on the partnership that we have with the Bureau, which goes back to about 2005. And so this has been a 10-year partnership, and as Chief Schultz stated, a great deal of the intelligence that we get happens over a period of time. So this particular investigation culminated after almost a year, but it goes back to 2005 relative to when we started working with the FBI and the DEA to dismantle, disrupt drug and gangs operations.
Anything else?
I guess what's next as far as this gang goes and trying to get these two individuals in custody?
Obviously, we will endeavor to locate and arrest these individuals, but it doesn't end there for us. There are other gangs throughout the Wisconsin area that we will continue to target in partnership with the federal, state, and local authorities that we work with on a daily basis, and whose help and support we would not be able to sort of come to this type of conclusion or outcome. It's unfortunate, but in this particular area of Wisconsin, we've seen a spike in violent crime. A lot of that is attributable to gangs like this. And as the FBI, we are committed to tackling that and reducing the amount of crime in the area to make our community safer.
Speaking of the community, you take a big hit like this, how will the community see a difference like in real time, and how much of an effect does it have? Does it grow, does it come back, and like what will the community see like tomorrow?
I think I can turn that one over to the chief, because he can speak to it more directly.
Sure. Once again, I think what the community will immediately notice is that, that the weight of the federal government and local government together can produce phenomenal results. What they'll notice is that you have some violent people that are not on the street anymore, and they're facing federal charges. And so that means longer sentences, and that means the community is just safer long term. It was a fair question, what's next? I think everybody in the room knows that we fight heroin addiction every day. We're just never done. We're just off to the next investigation. And we'll continue to work with our local and federal partners until we can eradicate this problem. We don't think we'll ever be done, so we're just looking for the next case to manage.
Do you know, so these two people that you're looking for, are they together, or did they flee on foot? Did they flee in cars?
They were no indication they're together as of now. Basically, when we hit certain addresses, we have intelligence and as well as warrants to indicate that they're likely, we have probable cause to indicate that they're at a particular address. We then execute either arrest warrants or search warrants to the address. At the time we executed those arrest or search warrants, they were not present at those locations for a variety of reasons, whether they have spent the night somewhere else, out of town just recently. But usually our intelligence is very good, and it resulted in the bulk of those wanted being arrested. So, it is not unknown that this occurred. We may not necessarily get one or two just by the fact that they're just not there at the location that we believe them to be at the time.
Will we get a list of all of the individuals' names?
Yes.
Yep, that'll be included in that press release information. As we update that, it'll come within an hour after this press release.
Okay, and just really quickly, if you could give an overview of, I know you said you don't have the totals of the drugs that were seized, but can you just give us another just quick description of what was?
The type of drugs?
Yeah, the type of drugs.
Methamphetamine, marijuana, and cocaine.
It's critical.
And no heroin was taken?
Nope, not at this time.
Well, were those gangs responsible for distributing heroin, do you know?
No, it was primarily those drugs.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's fine. What's critical is that the organization is disrupted and dismantled, and they are unable to traffic in narcotics anymore. So regardless of the amount of drugs that are seized, it's the individuals that have been impacted, and that's the primary effect, a more significant effect.
What else can you tell us about these two guys? I'm just trying to kind of give a little better kind of framework of how concerned should be if they're from the city of Racine, how concerned should the citizens be of whether or not they're still in the city?
Again, indications are they're probably local. There's no present danger to the community based on the fact that they're fugitives. They're not fugitives because they committed a bank robbery and are looking to escape. And it's likely that we will find them shortly, especially with the public's help. So, again, out of an abundance of caution, we do consider them armed and dangerous because of their proclivity based on their gang association and the acts they've committed, but not necessarily a danger to the immediate public. But we do want their assistance, and we want to get them off the street as soon as possible. And we will provide you additional details right after this.
All right. Thank you very much.